What is a good hobby for someone who is time rich and money poor? Drawing. When you really get into a groove, hours can go by in a blink. Reading. There are so many free reading resources available. Hit up your local library, read a good book, and then discuss it online. Juggling. Balancing a broom / pool stick / chair / table etc on one finger. Farting in the bathtub and turning around really quickly to bite the bubbles. Edit. Thank you kind stranger for my first Reddit gold ever. Chess. Costs very little to play, and you can devote all the time in the world to it and realize that you still suck. To any newcomers to the game, you can create an account on lichess.org and get playing right away, or even play anonymously. They even have organized leagues if you want to join and start getting serious about improving. Have fun. I like to find a big old drain pipe, weasel my way in there, and practice my clapping. Sometimes I can clap so fast the echoes sound like a whole audience. Hiking. Fixing / rebuilding computers to sell for spare cash. Go to a local electronics recycler and you can always find pallets of computers businesses have gotten rid of. Most of them still work. They are just contractual obligated to refresh PCs every 3-5 years. My friends and I just went to one last night and bought 12 Lenovo all-in-ones with broken screens. No RAM, no hard drives. Bought all 12 for $150 and they have freaking i5 6500 in them. Those go for $110 a piece on eBay and the motherboards sell for $200 plus. Turn $150 and a couple hours of teardown time into $3,700. Gardening. Even if you're in an apartment, you can get a decent herb garden going for the cost of seeds, potting soil, and a few Dollar Tree pots. Honestly, when I remember to actually set time aside and read a good book, I really enjoy it. Obviously not everyone is super into reading, and IDK if you'd consider it a hobby, but it always feels like a better use of my time than watching TV or surfing Reddit. If you're unemployed then I'd recommend a productive hobby like exercising or learning a new skill, coding, math, languages, etc. Plenty of free online resources, Khan Academy being the most notable one. Anything that helps you retain a sense of self-worth and gives you a feeling of progress. If you still work and just have a lot free time then go for something that takes up a lot of time but you still enjoy doing, painting, fishing, gaming for example. Only you know what you like doing. Guitar was an expensive hobby 20 years ago. Nowadays you can get great sounding guitars for under $300. In fact, I started learning guitar a year ago on a $40 electric. No issues with the frets and the intonation is okay. Also there's no need to spend hundreds on guitar lessons or books. Everything is on the internet nowadays. A third job. I kid. Here are some things I've picked up doing in the past few years. Learn sign language. Free on YouTube. Learned how to solve a Rubik's Cube. You can find a good cheap cube on Amazon for under $10. Play disc golf. A local sports store near me sells used disc for $3 to $10. You can also find some fairly good brand new discs for cheap or even just go walk around a disc golf course and probably find a few. Wood carving. Takes nothing more than a knife and wood. Exercise. It's completely free and you can always have goals to keep you entertained. Draw. Use your imagination. Learn chess. It's free online and you can make friends. Learn a new subject. Physics. Languages. History of another country. Use YouTube and Reddit as tools instead of time wasters. Good luck on your adventure. Edit 1 forgot 1. Edit 2 I forgot that you don't fix a Rubik's Cube. You do in fact solve it. As for disc golf, a lot of players do mark their discs with their name and phone numbers in case lost. If you find them, it's always worth calling them just in case. I have made a couple friends this way, and for learning sign language I actually learned the basics on a channel called Sign with Heart. It is good for learning basic hand movements and facial expressions, but I actually have an aunt who knows ASL, and she taught me a lot. I would recommend, if available, that you find a group or even a tutor to help. I know sometimes it costs money, but sometimes people just want to watch the world learn, and you can do it for free. Might even search for an online tutor that will FaceTime. Good luck to everybody on your journey. I really appreciate all the positivity and questions on this post. I really didn't expect. If anybody has any more, I'm here. Thank you all. Volunteer. It's a great way to try new things. I ended up a veterinary technician by volunteering at my local animal shelter. Right. Whether would it be journals, stories, articles, or literature, it's a good way to kill time. Needlepoint, cross stitch and hand embroidery are fun, versatile, and very inexpensive. Floss is 43 cents at Walmart. If you aren't being super picky, you don't have to use Ada cloth, but it's not expensive anyway. If you buy plastic hoops you can reuse them, and the wooden ones aren't expensive either. For all of $20 you can get enough for several projects depending on what you're going for. Check out r/embroidery and r/cross stitch. Crochet. You can usually find yarn super cheap, and if you become good you can eventually sell and make a little cash. Being time rich and money poor myself, I've recently gotten into sculpting stuff in clay. It has a bit of an upfront cost in getting materials and tools, but with the right clay you can reuse it later if the need be. I'm using Castelline myself, which is wax based so can be easily remelted and doesn't dry out. It's incredibly satisfying to take a lump of clay and turn it into something you think looks neat. Collecting litter in public places. Baking takes pretty inexpensive ingredients in its most basic form and makes everyone you know happier because you can share your creations. Web and app development. It can be fun, rewarding, and then bam you're not poor anymore when you get an above average paying job in the field, and you can learn it all for free online. What a time to be alive. Birdwatching. All you really need is a field guide. Binoculars help but aren't mandatory. Watch The Office. Origami. Video games can be cheap, but time consuming. I've got a friend who's got something like 2,000 hours in Rust. Civ can just eat away the hours as well. EVE Online and TF2 are others like that. DayZ, WoW, and Skyrim are a couple more. Lots of older video games are super cheap, and lots of online ones are free or cheap monthly. I guess you were looking for a hobby though and not a time draining addiction. Running. Frisbee golf. Online chess. Tennis. Almost every town has free courts in parks. You can buy a racket for $15, a tube of 3 balls for a few dollars. Just grab a friend and start playing. If I'm honest, music. If you find an instrument that isn't too expensive you can get started for under $100. And then contrary to popular belief that's all you need to pay. Of course higher quality instruments are more expensive and private lessons are of course expensive, but there is a great wealth of free tuition videos on YouTube. Of course I don't know your situation, but if you're willing to put in a little bit of money to begin with you'll have hundreds of hours of pleasure ahead of you. Knitting is really calming. I found yarn is dirt cheap. You could try geocaching. Lifting. Learn to code. There is a free course offered by Harvard called CS50 and is aimed at the most basic and entry-level computer scientists. It's the gateway to more specific and complex programming, which can lead to gainful employment. Read Mac in Mad Bank. Fam. I'm starting my life from scratch for the 3rd time in 2 years. I don't have a job right now, so I'm focusing on exercising and learning, recovering mind and body. Cheap, but valuable. Yo-yoing is pretty cool. I generally recommend this whenever I see this thread brought up. I know you generally don't see people yo-yoing anymore, but there still is a community and it's still a lot of fun. Even the higher end yo-yoers don't run a lot of money. Starting out, you probably won't even spend under $40. Less than that honestly. I haven't been up on my prices of yo-yoers. There are thousands of videos online for practicing tricks. Once you get a base knowledge, you can start combining stuff and making your own routines. It's a lot of fun. Source, been yo-yoing since I was in grade school. Volunteer your time at a local charitable organization that helps the hungry and disadvantaged. Drawing. There are lots of online tutorials and you really only need pencil/paper/eraser. Also reading and writing. Get a library card and indulge in a new genre. Also, both communities are generally welcoming and active. There are free competitions you can find online as well. Do puzzles, word searches or crosswords. Writing. Check the reject bin on Coinsta machines at Walmart. Those machines reject silver coins and euros. Nice way to get into coin collecting. Coin roll hunting. Go to the bank and ask for a box of pennies or nickels. Go through them to find rare, valuable, and or collectible coins. In a box of pennies you can find a lot of wheats and the very occasional engine head cent. I average either one buffalo nickel or silver war nickel per box. Return the rest to the bank and repeat. Your only cost is the amount of coins you keep. Fishing. Art. You can create with anything. Dungeons and Dragons. All you needs is a couple of friends, a set of dice, a sheet of paper and a pencil. Writing. Seriously, write crappy erotica rags for Amazon. 20 pages. People will buy and read that crap and you can cobble them together into collections every 3-4 books and get even more reads. Seriously, you can barely try and people will still buy them because sex. If interested in gaming, go back to the old games you've left behind and start hunting for all the trophies / achievements to up your level / gamma score. 30 addiction. Learning a second language. Basically free if you have access to the internet. Foraging. It is amazing what grows wild and it means free food which is often better than you can buy. Oh, and improves your health, as you will be out walking and eating healthy cooking your free food. Reading. Walking around looking for money, but seriously, running isn't bad. Good shoes are the only real investment you need. Around $100 $120 per pair and good for 400-500 miles of running in my experience. It will make you feel good about yourself and do great things for your health. Pro tip, your running shoes are for running only. Don't wear them for other stuff. They aren't cheap and you need to know how many miles are on them so you can decide when to replace them. Reading. Library cards are free. Personally, I've been catching up on shows I want to watch, putting together puzzles, painting, and working on a cross stitch that I've been doing for forever. I also started making cat toys for my mom, since she and a few people are starting up a new cat rescue. I'm going to try to keep making toys that are super easy to make and give them to her to either use for the cats they have or sell for money to go towards the rescue. I'm sure there's some kind of skill you have that can be used to help the community. It gives me something to do, and it's nice knowing I'm helping my mom, even though I'm 2 hours away from her. If you have some kind of skill that you could use to help an organization that you care about, that can be really rewarding. Baking bread and other long-form cooking can be inexpensive and tasty. Canoeing or kayaking. Cheap boats in abundance on Craigslist. Programming. Making games. It's a lot if learning, but if you get good at it, it's helpful for applying to jobs. Yoga. Good way to keep yourself moving. Also helps with constipation, insomnia, and stress. Allegedly. Have not tried it long enough to confirm. There are a lot of apps and videos on YouTube to get started. Mats though, mats are not cheap. Neither are yoga pants. It's why I do it solo in privacy. Getting a job. A job. Sleeping has always worked for me pretty well. Woodworking. It takes a bit of cash to get going for equipment, but you don't need much starting out. And at least where I'm from, people have to pay to get rid of wooden pallets and skids and would be more than happy to let you scoop them up. No projects or deadlines, just start cutting crap and nailing it together till things start to take shape and it builds from there. Working out. Grow weed. Wild food foraging. Very rewarding and costs basically nothing. I highly recommend lurking online forums on Reddit and Facebook. You can learn a lot of edible mushrooms and plants pretty quickly. Considering you probably have a computer, being on Reddit and all, and you have at the very least the camera on your phone, and can get a decent camera really cheaply now. Photography and image editing, which is the major time portion of photography anyway, is something to consider. Photography is nice because it gives you an excuse and a reason to go the new places, explore, and find unusual or interesting things. Contrary to what people will tell you, it doesn't have to be an expensive hobby at all. It can easily become one. But what makes a good photographer is having a good eye and knowing the capabilities of your equipment. You can take amazing photos with your phone as easily as you can with a $10,000 bunch of equipment, as long as you understand what the phone is capable of doing and not doing. Buying cheap furniture and sprucing it up for a profit. Running, volunteering, Duolingo. Library roulette. Pick a number, let's say 5, go to the 5th shelf you find, and pick out the 5th book and read it. Do this with some friends and find out who got the worst or best book, after having to read it. Become a compassionate listener. There's an app called 7 Cups, which provides online therapy and free support to people experiencing emotional distress by connecting them with trained listeners. To become a listener, you need to undergo some straightforward training, all done via the app. And you'll have some practice runs before actually connecting with someone needing help. You don't connect with anybody until you feel ready to. I've been a compassionate listener on and off for a while now. If you feel that you're an empathetic person who's good at listening, it's a really great thing to do. It always amazes me how much better people feel just by having someone actually listen to them. And it makes me feel good knowing I've helped someone. The waits for a user to connect to a listener can still be quite long as there are more users than listeners. So it would be great if more people would join. A job. People on here are telling you to get a job. They clearly can't read. I found gardening can be easy and cheap. Making or crafting simple things. Cheap DIY are fun when you are doing stuff related to other hobbies. What do you like or love? Pets? Maybe go to the park with them. Aquariums or small ecosystems. Worm composite bin are fun and easy. Exercise? Try doing other activities. Sewing your old clothes into new things. Home brewing. Initial equipment costs are maximum PS50. You literally only need a few buckets and some tubes. Plus PS20 on ingredients for a batch that will last you at least a month. Making friendship bracelets. You can buy big packs of the string from Walmart and there are hundreds of different patterns you can make, and it's not hard once you get the hang of it. Also a great cheap gift for friends. Play Pokemon Go. A job. Find someone with the opposite problem and play through their backlog of Steam games. Learn. Go to Coursera, Khan Academy, edX. There are tons of amazing free courses from the best professors at your fingertips. You just need a computer and time. If you keep at it, then you can also get certified for a small sum. Not as fancy as a university degree, but why cheaper. I envy you. A full-time job. Job hunting. Learn a language. Or 50. Duolingo.com. Woodworking. Tools to do simple stuff are cheap and the rabbit hole is multiple lifetimes type huge to learn stuff. Plus you can easily make things to sell to offset tool costs. I've got a fairly well equipped hobbyist shop that's paid for itself a few times over selling small basic projects. A good portion of what I do is small enough that I usually end up with leftovers that I can use for my own stuff and do that all free of cost. Disc golf. For most public courses, as opposed to competition courses, all you need is a driver and a putter to get started. Both can be obtained used for less than $20 combined at a disc golf shop. One round of 18 holes generally takes me 1.5 hours, and that time creeps upwards when I play with friends. I used to occupy tons of time with it. After initial purchase, the only cost is gas to get there. Buying more discs/gear is entirely optional. When I wasn't playing, I was watching YouTube videos from professionals, so I had new stuff to practice out on the course. Disc golf is great for all sorts of emotional release too. Really just wanna relax and chill with some friends? Go leisurely make your way around the course. Someone really piss you off and need to blow off steam? Go out there with some drink, your music of choice, and freaking chuck those discs like the basket is a bitch who mad you off. Feeling down and need a boost? Go hit the course and run through your favorite holes. Nothing like some good throws to help you feel better. I just bought a lockpicking kit for $29.99 that comes with all the tools necessary and a see-through practice lock. Posting questions on r/us Reddit. Research your family history online. There are lots of free genealogy sites online. I'd say to put in some time to work on a passion of yours. Whether you're working on making your songwriting skills better or crafting your art style to be the best it can be, working on something you love to do or something you'd want to do will make those hours pass by. Bake bread, it's easy, fun. You can make so many different kinds, and it can be cheaper than bought. Warframe is a pretty good hobby if you've got a lot of time on your hands. After 120 hours you might even be able to farm a Riven mod. You can try cutting your own hair. It only took about $30 for me to get started. Cheapest clippers at Walmart and a pair of scissors. I've been doing it for about 5 years and saved tons of money. Become a volunteer in the local volunteer fire department. Or service may cost a little gas money, but they pay for training and the equipment you need, but it can take up a lot of time. It can also be very rewarding and may give you a career to boot. Making chainmail. Bicycling. For about $100 you can get a perfectly functional used road bike. It'll be heavy and it won't have any bells and whistles that newer fancy ones have. But it'll be fun as crap and a great way to exercise and get around. Horribly reenact scenes from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Not a job but hustles. Small hustles here and there are fun. For me at least. It's less about the money, but the sense of accomplishment that's fun. Not being a jerk here, but if you're money poor and time rich you should probably look for another way to make some money with all of your spare time. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.